You finally break through her walls. You have an amazing date, a deep conversation, a moment where she actually opens up and lets you in, and then she disappears. The closeness you thought was bringing you together is exactly what's pushing her away, and you're left confused, wondering what the hell just happened. Here's what most people don't understand about avoidant women. The closer you get, the harder they run. It's not about you. It's not about something you said or did. It's a psychological pattern that's been wired into them since childhood. And I'm about to walk you through the 4 stages of why this happens, what's actually going through her mind when she pulls away, and what you can do about it. Because once you understand this pattern, you'll stop blaming yourself and start seeing her behavior for exactly what it is. A defense mechanism, not a rejection. Here's the cycle you're stuck in. Things are going well. You're texting regularly. You're spending time together. The connection feels real. And then you have one of those moments. A really good date. An intimate conversation. Maybe you sleep together. Maybe she opens up about something personal. You're thinking, okay, we're finally getting somewhere. This is progress. And then she goes cold. The text slowed down. She's suddenly busy all the time. The warmth is gone. She's creating distance, and you have no idea why. You replay everything in your head, trying to figure out what you did wrong. Was it something you said? Did you come on too strong? Did you misread the situation? But here's the truth. You didn't do anything wrong. Her pulling away has nothing to do with your behavior and everything to do with her fear. Let me show you why this happens. All right, so here's what you need to understand about avoidant women and closeness. For most people, intimacy brings you closer. Deep conversations, vulnerable moments, physical connection. These things build trust and strengthen the relationship. It's a step forward. But for avoidance, it triggers fear. Serious fear. Here's why. Avoidants are terrified of vulnerability. And intimacy, whether they admit it or not, is vulnerable. When you have a deep conversation, when you spend quality time together, when things start to feel real, their guard comes down. And for someone who spent their entire life protecting themselves from getting hurt, that level of exposure is terrifying. So what happens after these moments of closeness? Her brain goes into panic mode. She starts to feel too close to you. And closeness, for an avoidant, equals danger. It means she might get hurt. It means she's relying on someone. It means she's not in complete control anymore. This is what psychologists call intimacy avoidance or the deactivation response. When emotional closeness exceeds their comfort threshold, their nervous system interprets it as a threat and creates distance to restore a sense of safety. So her defense mechanism kicks in. She creates distance, not because the closeness was bad, not because she didn't feel something, but because it was good, because she did feel something, and that scared the hell out of her. And here's the really messed up part. The better the moment of intimacy was, the harder she'll pull away, because the more connected she felt, the more threatened her nervous system becomes. It's this backwards thing where the closeness you thought was bringing you together actually triggers her to run. This isn't logical. This isn't a conscious choice. This is automatic. Her brain learned a long time ago, probably in childhood, that closeness leads to pain. So now, as an adult, when things get intimate, her system just hits the eject button. She's not sitting there plotting this out. She might not even understand why she feels the need to pull away. She just knows that suddenly, being around you feels overwhelming, suffocating, too much, so she creates space to feel safe again. And this is where you need to understand something critical. This pattern has nothing to do with your value, your attractiveness, or whether you're good enough. This is about her unhealed attachment wounds. This is about patterns that were established decades before you even met her. You could be the perfect partner, saying all the right things, doing everything right, and she'd still pull away. Because it's not about you. It's about her relationship with intimacy itself. Real quick, if you're new here, welcome. I break down avoidant behavior and dating psychology every week. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. All right, back to it. Let me break down the 4 stages of what happens when an avoidant woman gets close and then pulls away. Understanding these stages will help you see the pattern clearly instead of getting lost in confusion. At the beginning or after periods of distance, She's warm. She's engaged. She's responsive. Things feel easy and natural. You're texting regularly. You're making plans. The connection feels real. This is because there's still enough emotional distance that she feels safe. You haven't triggered her intimacy fears yet. She can enjoy the connection without feeling threatened by it. During this stage, you might think you found someone who's genuinely interested, someone who's emotionally available, someone who wants the same things you do. And to be fair, she probably does want those things. In this moment, with this level of distance, she genuinely believes she can handle a real relationship. She's not lying to you or playing games. She really does feel good about this. But what you don't realize is that this comfort only exists because you haven't gotten too close yet. The moment that changes, everything shifts, then something happens. You have an amazing date where you really connect. You have a deep conversation where she opens up about her past. You spend a weekend together, and it feels like you're actually building something real. Maybe you sleep together and the intimacy is genuine and meaningful. These are the moments you've been hoping for. Signs that the relationship is progressing. Signs that she's letting you in. But for her, these moments are terrifying because intimacy means vulnerability. And vulnerability means the possibility of pain. Her nervous system starts sending alarm signals. You're getting too close. You're starting to matter too much. If this continues, you'll have the power to hurt me. She might not consciously think these thoughts, but her body feels them. The anxiety starts creeping in. The walls start going back up, and she begins looking for reasons to create distance. This is the moment where everything changes, where the person who was warm and engaged suddenly becomes cold and distant. And you have no idea what happened because from your perspective, things were going great. Now she starts creating distance. The texts slow down. She's suddenly busy with work, friends, personal projects. She needs space. She needs time to herself. She's not as available as she was before. You notice the shift immediately. The person who was texting you good morning every day is now taking hours to respond. The person who was making plans with you is now vague about when she's free. And you start panicking. You start reaching out more, trying to figure out what's wrong, try to restore the connection. You're sending longer texts. You're trying to make plans. You're asking if everything's okay. But here's what's happening on her side. The more you pursue, the more she pulls away. Because your pursuit confirms her fear. You're getting too attached. You're wanting too much. You're becoming a threat to her independence. This is a classic anxious avoidant trap. The more you chase, the more she runs. The more she runs, the more you chase. It's a cycle that feeds itself. During this stage, she's often completely unaware of why she's pulling away. If you ask her what's wrong, she might say, I don't know. I just need some space, or I'm feeling overwhelmed with everything right now. She's not lying. She genuinely doesn't understand her own behavior. All she knows is that the relationship started feeling like too much, and she needs to create distance to feel okay again. This is where things get really painful for you, because in order to justify her pullback, her brain starts looking for reasons why the relationship isn't working. Suddenly, things that didn't bother her before become huge issues. The way you text too much, the way you're too emotional, the way you want too much from her, the way you're not giving her enough space. She starts rewriting the narrative. Maybe we're not compatible. Maybe this isn't what I want. Maybe I'm just not ready for a relationship right now. And you're left confused because none of this matches the reality of what's been happening. You weren't texting too much before. You weren't too emotional before. Nothing about your behavior changed. What changed was her proximity to you. And now her brain is scrambling to create logical reasons for the emotional distance she's creating. This is a defense mechanism psychologists call cognitive reframing. She needs to make sense of her feelings, and since she can't acknowledge that intimacy itself scares her, she has to make it about something else, usually about you. The tragic part is that she might genuinely believe these reasons. She might really think you're too needy or too intense, or whatever story she's telling herself, because acknowledging the real reason, that she's terrified of closeness, is too painful and too vulnerable. So instead, she makes it about your flaws, your behavior, your expectations. And you end up carrying the blame for something that was never about you in the first place. So what do you actually do when you're stuck in this cycle? When every time you get close, she pulls away. First, stop chasing. I know every instinct in your body is telling you to pursue harder, to prove your worth, to convince her that you're safe. But chasing an avoidant only confirms their fear. It proves to them that intimacy means losing control. When she pulls away, give her the space she's asking for, not as a game, not as reverse psychology, but because chasing someone who's running is exhausting and it never works. Second, set a boundary for yourself. Decide what you're willing to tolerate. Are you okay with this hot and cold cycle? Are you okay with getting close and then having her disappear? Are you okay with feeling like you're always one good moment away from her running? If the answer is no, then you need to walk away, not to punish her, not to make her realize what she's losing, but because you deserve consistency. You deserve someone who doesn't panic every time things get real. Third, if you really want to try to make it work, have a calm conversation about the pattern. Don't do this in the moment when she's pulling away. Do it when things are good, when you're both calm. Say something like, I've noticed that every time we have a really good connection, you tend to pull back. I'm not trying to pressure you, but I need to understand if this is something you're aware of, because I care about you, but I can't keep doing this cycle. If she's self-aware, if she can acknowledge the pattern, there might be hope. But if she gets defensive, if she denies it, if she makes it about you being too demanding, that's your answer. She's not ready to look at her own patterns. Fourth, work on yourself. If you find yourself constantly attracted to avoidant women, that's telling you something about your own attachment style. People with anxious attachment are often drawn to avoidance because the push-pull dynamic feels familiar. If this is a pattern for you, it's worth exploring why you're attracted to people who can't show up consistently, why you're willing to accept breadcrumbs, why you keep trying to earn love from people who are terrified of giving it. And here's the most important thing. Stop making her avoidance about your worth. Her pulling away when you get close doesn't mean you're too much. It doesn't mean you're not enough. It means she has unhealed wounds that get triggered by intimacy. You can be absolutely incredible doing everything right, and she'll still pull away. Because this isn't about you. This is about her relationship with vulnerability. The right person won't run when things get real. The right person will lean in when things get deep. The right person will see your desire for connection as a gift, not a threat. Look, I know how frustrating this pattern is. You finally feel like you're making progress, like she's finally letting you in, and then she disappears. It makes you question everything. Your judgment, your worth, your ability to read situations. But you need to understand something. Her pulling away when you get close is not a reflection of your value. It's a reflection of her fear. And that fear has nothing to do with you. You could be the most patient, understanding, emotionally intelligent person in the world, and she'd still pull away because the problem isn't you. The problem is that intimacy itself triggers her nervous system. This pattern was established long before you came into her life, probably in childhood, when she learned that getting close to people leads to pain, that needing someone makes you weak, that vulnerability gets you hurt. And until she does the work to heal those wounds, until she learns that intimacy doesn't equal danger, she's going to keep running every time someone gets too close. So you have a choice to make. You can keep trying to prove to her that you're safe, that you won't hurt her, that she can trust you. You can keep walking on eggshells, trying not to trigger her fears, trying to be just close enough to maintain connection, but not so close that she runs. Or you can accept that this isn't your job, that you can't heal someone else's attachment wounds, that you can't love someone into feeling safe, that you deserve someone who doesn't need you to manage their entire emotional world just to maintain a basic relationship. The cycle of getting close and having her pull away will continue until she decides to break it. And that decision has to come from her, not from you being the perfect partner. Your job isn't to fix her. Your job is to decide what you're willing to accept. And if this pattern is making you anxious, confused, and constantly questioning yourself, then it's time to walk away. Not because you're giving up, but because you're choosing yourself. Because you're refusing to settle for someone who treats closeness like a threat. You deserve someone who moves toward you when things get deep, not away from you. Someone who sees your vulnerability as courage, not as weakness. Someone who doesn't make you feel like you're too much just for wanting connection. And that person is out there. But you won't find them if you're still stuck in this cycle. Try and convince someone to stay who's already half out the door. If you found this helpful, hit the like button, share your experience in the comment section, and hit subscribe for more. I break down avoidant behavior and what it actually means so you can understand what's really happening. See you in the next one.